Hello, everybody, and welcome to Four Mics, the podcast where we talk about gaming news and games. I'm here today with Dr. Smurf
Well, hello there.
and our wonderful mystery guest because Steve isn't here.
Hello, mystery
It's
guest.
a mystery.
It's a
What
total
is
mystery.
it?
There's definitely no name under that question mark.
Yeah,
No
there's
name
just
at all.
pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Pay no attention.
Oh, that's
Today,
rude.
we're going to talk about UB30, where they've announced some interesting things. We're going to talk about Razer's new virtual reality headset. We're going to talk about some EA stuff. I'm not going to get too into that right now. We're going to talk about the compatibility of mods with the new Skyrim. Going to talk about Titanfall 2 and all the things that are going to happen with that guy. Halo Wars 2. We're going to talk about The Observer, a horror game that I'm interested in talking about. And then Doc wanted to talk about a game called Absolver. And that's all we got on the list today. Unless Steve magically shows up. Hopefully he will.
We just get to blame Steve for anything that goes wrong with this podcast today.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
all his fault.
It's his fault. I told him not to go. And look how well he listened to me today.
All right,
Alright,
you want to
I'm
fire
gonna-
us off?
Yep, I'm going to load us right into our first segment, where UB30 gifts a free Ubisoft game each month starting today. Ubisoft is giving away a free PC game every month for the rest of the year. The publisher has announced at its E3 press conference today as a part of its UB30 celebration. So, not surprisingly, the first game that they're giving away is the original Prince of Persia, Sands of Time.
Oh, color me shocked.
Yeah, a 2003 game. It did well for a 2003 game, but I don't know how good the PC port is because they're only giving it away on PC. You have to sign up for the Ubisoft Club, and you have to download Uplay to get any of these games.
Yeah, rip. Like,
Yeah.
So,
I mean-
it's gonna be a good deal for about 10 people.
yeah,
Yeah,
this.
it's going to be a good deal for anyone that's been forced to use it for Assassin's Creed. Me.
No,
I
this-
mean, I love Black Flag.
This reminds me of the games for gold thing that, like, yeah, we're gonna give you some free games, but you don't get them permanently, and a lot of it just turns out to be indie stuff that nobody cares about. So, like, I understand the sentiment, but until we start seeing some big tickets on the lineup, I don't see this being used by the vast majority of people. So
We're already
That's just-
live. Steve just got home. He's
for
yelling at me
future
from down
reference,
the
make sure to mute your mic before you yell at people in the building.
hall.
Rip
I
my face.
apologize, audio listeners. I have just blown out your headset.
Well, on my end, I don't think it'll be too bad. All right, yeah,
I
but
don't
that's
think it'll
that's
be
my
too bad on
opinion.
mine either.
I mean, I think unless they put in some really interesting stuff, it's probably not going to be worth it.
Yeah, I was gonna say at least you get the game free all month long, so you have the opportunity to go pick it up if it is worth the little bit that it may be worth. But I mean, I might actually go get this Prince of Persia game. I'm not severely interested in it, but at least it's something. And I did enjoy playing it at the time. It might be nice to see how it looks on PC. Maybe they did something to it, maybe they didn't. I'll find out. And I'll get back to you on that because I'm sure I'll play it at some point. Any thoughts for you, Deldev?
Not really.
Oh,
I'm
good.
guessing a lot of these games are gonna be older, and I'm not a huge fan of a lot of the older games. So
Yeah, they
It's-
probably will be older. At least from our
they're
current
just-
guess.
not in my generational likeness.
They're outside of your scope.
And since Steve is here, Steve, what's your opinion of Ubisoft giving away a free game every month for the rest of the year?
Yeah, is he actually?
To me, honestly,
Uh-huh.
it's kind of cool, but I don't see the point.
Yeah, I
Like,
mean,
they're
it's
gonna-
going to be
they're
another
distributing
Xbox
it
Gold.
through UPlay, which no one uses unless they have to. So this is just them trying to like, hey, UPlay is a thing.
Yeah,
I
come
don't-
That's
use our
probably-
platform. Like that's pretty much what this is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
pretty much.
And just like everybody else, we're just going to ignore it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, if they are offering new games, like, hey, the first game up is Rainbow Six Siege. I'm like, all right, cool. But it's like, no, hey, it's this game from 2003 you don't remember.
Or, you played and remember, cough, me, cough.
Well, I mean, I enjoyed the game, just I don't want to play it now.
Yeah, I was gonna
I
say,
had my time with it.
yeah, that's where I stand on this as well. All right, I think
So
that
we
wraps
have
up
a
this.
we have a
Ubisoft.
majority ruling of nice try, but no
Yeah,
cigar.
Nice try, Ubisoft. The
Yeah,
ones
I
of
mean-
us that already have to use it still don't think we're gonna get the game. So
Even if it was like games from like 2 years ago, like Assassin's Creed Syndicate, if that was on there, sure.
If Assassin's Creed like Rogue was on here, I'd go grab it.
Yeah, like stuff like that.
Yeah, or
Well-
like even if they're like, here's our broken Unity game.
Rip.
Not broken anymore.
It's not broken anymore, but it was
It
Sure as
actually,
hell
when you
broken
get
when it came
past the
out.
brokenness of that game, it's actually a really good story.
that's surprising considering Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, well, I personally find Assassin's Creed stories to be good until Syndicate.
Some of them are good, some of them aren't, in my opinion. Like some of them are just blatant, and we're deviating from topic.
Well,
All
no,
that
but
matters is-
it's all I'll say is it's a good thing that they got off the 1-year production cycle. This E3.
Yes, but I think
Yes.
they did that to focus on the movie.
That's
probably.
true. We'll have to see. It depends on if they stick to their guns and keep off the 1 year, or if they jump right back on the 1 year bandwagon.
I mean, we can talk about that next week if you guys want to.
What the
Okay, we
movie?
can throw Assassin's Creed in next week. I'm sure it'll come up at some point.
All right, how about you tell us about Razer and their
Yeah,
wonderful
let's talk
ideas?
about Razer. Razer has come to the market with a $400 HDK2 VR headset.
Like, I'm gonna look through the specs real quick of it.
Yeah, I was gonna
See.
say I'm gonna scroll right down here to these specs,
Yeah,
and we're gonna
that's
talk
what I
about
care
these.
about.
So-
It's looking about the same.
Yep, that's what I was talking about. You've got the same resolution, you've got the same hertz. The field of view is the same. The tracking area is smaller than
smaller.
the HTC Vive, shocking, but a little bigger than the Rift in a dimension, but not in another dimension.
Right.
I mean, it doesn't have built-in audio. It doesn't have a built-in mic, which I didn't even know the Rift had.
That's not a bad thing because it's less of a rectangle
Yeah,
compared
like,
to.
looking at it, it looks like there's just enough space too to wear headphones over it and all that, so it's whatever.
So which one of these is like it doesn't have a name for any of these?
Yeah,
The
look at
first
platform.
one's the
The
first
platform
one's
line.
the Razer, the second one's the Oculus, the third's the HTC Vive.
Yeah, it looks like they were supposed to have like an overlay of white text there, but it doesn't.
It didn't
Yeah,
happen.
Like that crossed
Yeah,
over.
it looks like it got cut off or something. It's kind of weird.
But I mean, even so, the fact that they're releasing it at 400 is still going to be a good thing, and it has the Razer name. A lot of
Yeah.
people are probably gonna.
Yeah, but
And
there's
so-
there's stuff in here that we don't know. Like, so it's saying that all the displays are OLED, and it's saying they have relatively the same resolution. But until you actually experience it, you don't know what the production quality of the, display they decided to use was. How robust is it? If it's got a lower price, what kind of competitive market did they enter for? Like lowest bidder. How much are they binning their equipment? How long is it going to last compared to the other stuff? Inevitably, or it's not inevitably, but invariably, if you have something that's surprisingly cheaper than everything else, you need to keep an eye on
They're
how long it
putting
lasts.
somewhere.
Yeah, like there's a corner that was cut somewhere, and it's just not coming out in the graph.
Well, from what I can tell, like they obviously cut back on the built-in audio and mic and the tracking area. That might be the cutback.
Yeah, but the positional tracking is going to be a big, one of the big problems from what I've heard about VR is that if it doesn't properly track your head, you end up with terrible amounts of motion sickness, even with good frames.
Right.
Because your head ends up moving before the in-game one does.
Oh yeah, that fuck with
And
it.
then you'd end up with this delayed reaction, which I can already tell it would make me queasy.
Dude, IRL lag.
Yeah, you'd have
God.
it'd be like having real lag.
Let's just add some blame to like drunk vision.
Except worse, because you're not drunk. Yeah, I'm actually kind of wondering what they did cut back at, and
Yeah, I'd have to see it in action, I guess.
Well, either that or depending on how they decide to do this. Yeah, I don't see why Razer would benefit from doing it this way because they themselves don't have a game distribution platform. But they could be purposefully taking a very low profit margin initially to get it out there in the market, or they could even be taking a small loss on it to try and get their name out there. Because you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
Right.
when new consoles enter the market, sometimes before they get the best lineup of hardware and equipment and perfect their
Actually,
manufacturing,
yeah.
they wind up taking a really low profit margin at the beginning. So this could be a decision by Razer to just undersell to try and get a lot of to make a lot of noise. And inside the VR community, you know, the price point is definitely going to be some people are like, oh well, look
yeah,
at
I was
this.
gonna say like I would definitely buy this before the Vive Oculus.
I'm
Yeah.
probably gonna wait for the first reviews before I buy it.
Well, obviously, it won't be shipping until July anyway.
The only reason that I don't think this is going to work is because regular market logic doesn't apply to early adopters. Like
Yeah, and
early
VR
early
Maybe so.
adopters
aftermarket.
are not afraid to spend a whole shit ton of money, and I doubt that any iteration of these three platforms is going to be its, you know, quote unquote final form that winds up, you know, getting out to the public in vast numbers. This is the first, you know, real stable iteration that they've gotten, but that doesn't mean that this is the best it's gonna get. They're obviously still learning.
Yeah, what's more interesting to me that I didn't even know, this is the second gen headset for
Is this
Razer.
second?
Did anybody know Razer had
There was a first
gen
gen headset for
Yeah.
Razer?
I did.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
did not know this.
1 out of 4 of us knew this was had a first gen iteration. I didn't even know Razer made a first gen
What was
VR.
it
I didn't.
called?
It was called the HDK 1.4.
Okay, so it was almost half of the two.
That sounds like a developer version.
I'm assuming it was well, yeah, I think these are developer versions. I think these are developer kits.
Hacker Dev Kit is what
Yeah,
HD.
hacker dev kit. There you go. Yeah. So I'm assuming the
Make you feel
1.4
good
is
about
more
yourself.
of a like this is modification 0.4 to
This
the
is the
software.
third one.
This is the third one?
There's an HDK 1.3 and 1.4.
I'm thinking the 1.3 difference from the 1.4 is probably software related and not so much headset.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I would agree with that.
I'm looking at this right now.
It's probably a firmware thing.
Yeah, my guess.
Everything is the same, so it has to be a firmware thing.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
Well, even
But
so,
that's only
either
$300.
no matter what the outcome ends up being with the tests, people are still just gonna buy it because it's got the Razer's name and it's cheap.
Yep.
I don't.
Razer-
Doesn't
I
matter
mean,
to a lot of people.
maybe I don't understand like what they mean. Right above this chart, it says boasts native support for Unreal Engine 4 and CryEngine. How does a piece of hardware have native support for an engine? Like,
Yeah, it's actually weird.
I'm not understanding what they're meaning by that. Are they meaning it's easier to port those engines to their system and make it compatible? Like,
Maybe it's like how like some games are easier to run on like NVIDIA or AMD.
Oh, it's
And they
probably
find what they
something to
feel
do
good.
with the hub area. In both the Oculus and the HTC Vive, when you first boot it up, instead of going to like a desktop area or anything, you go to an area that's in virtual space where you select games and things. For like the Oculus, I believe you're sitting in front of a fireplace and there's like a bunch of games laid out on a table and you can select them from the table. I'm wondering if they're talking about their in headset part for selection is compatible with CryEngine and Unreal Engine 4. which
That'd be
would
the most.
mean-
That'd be the most detailed waiting room ever.
Yeah.
Dude, I would love it. I would buy this and just sit in there like, oh my god, it's pretty.
It also, because you see, the next line is Steam VR and OS VR, which are the waiting rooms to selecting games.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm assuming it means its waiting room can be made custom, probably in the Unreal Engine 4 and the CryEngine,
We can make our own waiting rooms, guys. VI.
which means something like virtual desktop, you know?
I already seen something similar to that, to a degree. Like had like two people wearing like VR headsets. One of
That
them, and it shows
way-
like one of them playing like Rocket League in front of them.
It's
The other one's watching a movie.
Dude, that would be the weirdest thing, though.
Headsets.
Like you put it on, right? And you spawn in to like a CryEngine version of your own room, and you go over to your game wall. You pull the game off the wall, right?
Oh yeah.
That gets spooky after a while.
Wait, yes?
Well, no, actually, that sounds relatively cool because let's say that you're doing a full tracking space, right? Like you have a full tracking setup.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say you have a dedicated room, which, especially for something like the Vive, I mean, you need a dedicated room, to be perfectly honest. And you put the headset on, and it's still the same room, but it's rendered in 3D space.
Yeah.
That get a little Inception-y after a while.
The tracking
get
of
weird.
8x9 sounds a little more bedroom friendly as well.
Yes, it does.
8 by 9 feet. Yeah.
Yeah, and the 5x11 is just weird for a Oculus.
Yeah,
It's like,
that's
hopefully your
strange.
room is a rectangle. Because
Well, I
if
think
it's not,
it's more so just a sit down anyway. It's a sit down headset.
That's what this one probably is too, but it has a wider side to side field, which is kind of nice in my opinion. You can move farther to the sides than you can with the
Like
Oculus.
this is already like a full on like RPG. In
I don't know.
whatever the fucking one is. The Vive.
HTC Vive.
Yeah, there's an RPG that's apparently really cool. Like it has like a teleporting function to move around instead of just walking. And there's like
yeah, that's
sword
something
fighting
that
and shit
definitely
like
needs to be solved. Like,
Yes.
there's a whole bunch of challenges that VR is going to be facing over the course of
Yes.
the next
We
couple of
need,
years.
like a trackpad we can run on and shit like that.
This is like
Yeah,
I
they
mean
already
I am
have those.
relatively excited though because I think that hardware has hit a price point, especially with like the 1070, where probably within maybe if not this year, the next year, that the price point on graphics cards capable of driving really, solid VR experiences are gonna come within like the reasonable realm in terms
Like
of
$200 to $300
money. I'd say probably about
Well, like-
350.
Well, what's the price point of the new
1080.
the new AMD card? Was
Oh,
it
that's
at
200
200?
bucks. Yeah, it's $200.
It performs better than the 980, doesn't it?
Yes.
We had this discussion on the last one though about how that's like artificial benchmarking though. We have to actually see what it does in
I'd have
game.
to actually see it in action and not.
Yeah,
AMD
we'll have
doing
to
the
check
testing.
that. But if it actually performs better than the 980, then it's a 200 price point for VR capable hardware.
Which is
It's also a
insane.
200 price point for not fully optimized or situations, just because.
Yeah,
Nvidia has
like I
so
said, we
much
talked
more
about this
optimization.
with the whole red team and the green team thing. But
Mhm.
hopefully pretty soon. Like I said, we're already coming up with stuff for next week. Like I'll look into seeing what the benchmark situation on the cards is.
Yeah, we'll have to take
And
a look
other
at
sources, not just AMD sources.
Yeah,
That's pretty much that's all I've got to say about VR. Just it's
Why
one of those
talk
things.
about
Wait and
this
see.
headset that I wanted to add. Did you notice that it's compatible with all VR hardware,
Yes.
which means it's compatible with the HTC Vive controllers?
Any OS VR compatible VR hardware. Which I don't know what counts as OS VR.
I'm not sure either.
Open source virtual reality, so anything that's like open source. So
Okay.
maybe console. Maybe
I don't know why
PS4.
I'd throw it in a console. What I was more interested in is getting, say, Razer Hydras,
Oh yeah, Razer Hydras would probably work with it.
because now you've got your own, your own HTC Vive for like what, $550.
Well, I mean, it's really important though, because if they're going with an open source platform, that means that anybody can start a third-party project and come up with some really cool controller ideas that could be implemented. So,
Yeah, I seen someone using Razer Hydra is connecting that to some sort of glove. That was actually like working as gloves.
Yeah,
That's
that'll
weird.
be really interesting to see where it goes if it is an open source compatible headset compared to the other ones, which are definitely not.
Yes.
They're very restricted to their own hardware. So,
oh, I
And
made the
then there's
mistake
the
of
worry-
looking at the comments. There are people in here just bitching about hardware from Razer.
I don't even have to stream up it.
you know, I do have the little worry with Oculus. Has anybody else heard about this? The Facebook and Microsoft teaming up for Oculus.
Oh
Well, they've
yeah,
already
I
done
mean,
that.
like it's been done. The reason that I'll never buy an Oculus is because there's a piece of Facebook licensed proprietary software that runs in the background as system at all times, and I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
how about no? Um,
Yeah, that's a negative. That's
your
a
VR
sorry, not
experience is not that important to me. That you get system level privileges on my computer. You can go just, fuck yourselves. That's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I think I remember us all coming to we'd get the HTC Vive over the Oculus. Now my question is, would we get the Razer, over an HTC Vive?
Well, like I
have
said,
I would-
wait and see.
action.
Okay, we all talked at
Doesn't
once,
matter.
so Deldev doesn't matter. Steve, what?
I'd have to see it in action.
Yeah, same.
Okay.
I
that's
said
what I
yes.
was
It doesn't
thinking.
matter as if it's Razer. I'm down for it. I trust
Uh,
Razer.
Okay, so Deldev's kind of going all in, putting his chips all on the table, and
I
the
mean-
rest of us are like, we're gonna wait and see what happens because not only it being cheaper, it's also substantially lighter, like about half the weight of the other ones, which worries me.
I mean, I'm
to-
saying that I'd want to wait and see, but I have, a Razer keyboard, a Razer mouse, and a Razer gamepad sitting in front of me, all lit up in their glory, and they have yet to break on me. So,
Yeah, I mean,
mean-
like my Razer Chroma Black Widow, my Razer.
I like my
Mouse.
Razer. I like my Razer keyboard. I don't have a.
And it's not like I won't have to wait because I'm not gonna buy VR right away. There's no way.
I have a Corsair mouse. I'm cool.
I'd wait
I
like
get you.
maybe like a year or two after Oculus decides to go. Oh hey, yeah, now we're finished.
I could never go with Oculus.
I'm
so
probably
it's-
gonna wait for the third gen unless like from what I've heard from like Mathis, who sounds like he's about as motion prone sickness as I am, I would probably be alright with this gen, but it is kind of blocky apparently. Like on corners, just a little not rounded, which might worry me if computers with decent graphics cards are having problems now.
Yeah.
all right. So, do you wanna go to the Verge article, or do you want to stay in the roundhouse of video games and do the Verge article?
Let's go to the Skyrim article now for your segment, and then we'll go to the Verge article after.
Where's Skyrim in this? You didn't send me Skyrim.
It's the most recent one that we were talking about while you were off gallivanting.
The hate is real.
Where is Skyrim?
Do you want to
That's
relink
not
that
any
for
of
us
the
really quick though?
Yeah,
Just go ahead and
hold
put that
on.
back in the post.
I'll relink all of you.
God damn you.
It's gonna frick up the curse video for a second.
Unprofessional.
It's only because somebody had to walk off and go take some girl home. Not listening to me about him being late. No.
Okay, so we're gonna.
Get out of here. Anyway.
Anyways, hate is real, and Charlie's mad at Steve, but that's enough.
All right, so we're gonna use this
Yeah.
for whether you want it or not.
Yeah, so this is our whether you want it or not.
All right, so welcome once again to Whether You Want It or Not, when we talk about the most beaten to death piece of news available for the week. Today, it is Skyrim Remaster Special Edition, and existing Skyrim mods will be almost fully compatible with the Special Edition. When the Skyrim Special Edition Remaster was announced, no one at PCG HQ looked up from their desk. Modders have been remastering Skyrim since 2011. Chris has even put together a guide on how to remaster it yourself. But what if modders could immediately set about remastering the remaster? Inception. Or take their mods and make them better, faster, and stronger. That's a distinct possibility. Asked whether old Skyrim mods will be compatible with the Special Edition, Bethesda's Pete Hines tweeted, basically yes. That's great news for ambitious overhauls like Skywind. Better still, the level of detail in the trailer suggests that the Special Edition will use an updated 64-bit engine like Fallout 4's. So, I mean, what I can gather from this is that when someone goes basically yes, they're probably meaning that the original modder is going to have to go in and probably do a little bit of work, changing some hooks and moving around some information, but that it's not going to put a huge amount of, like, strain on them. Like, whatever it is they need to change probably won't be too ridiculous that it would be, like, completely redoing the mod.
Right. It's probably not as basic as something in like a Minecraft texture pack where you could literally sometimes just go in and change one number and everything's fixed. But
There's definitely some scripting in there that I think is going to break. And the more complex the mods are, especially if you're talking about mods that add entire, like, story arcs and have a lot to do with, you know, generating its own, like, you know, like new models and different rigging, and people have done entire narrations, things like that, like the really big complex ones. I think those are probably going to take a little bit of love and care before they work. But a lot of the popular smaller stuff, like updated models and you know, additional armor and new spells and stuff like that that people use, probably won't take that long to port over.
Oh, no.
probably not. I'm also wondering how much upgraded the textures are gonna be, because the only mods I've ever really used on Skyrim are like, here's my 4K texture mod, here's my other 4K texture mod, here's my 4K texture mod, and now everything's fucking gorgeous.
Oh yeah, see, I should have just kept reading. At the very bottom, there is a catch. A 64-bit engine would require a 64-bit version of the Skyrim script extender that several signature mods depend on to act outside of the engine's original confines. So, like I said, there's hooks in there for third-party scripting that is, it's just, its face is going to implode. So
Yeah.
there's some backbone work that's going to need to happen before a lot of the really big ones are going to come over, but I don't think it's impossible to do.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Is this another rebuy? I haven't been paying much attention to this
Yes, it's
redo.
That's
Yeah.
another guy.
Their goal is basically to port it over to Xbox One and PS4 so that more players can buy it, and then any PC users.
And then PC users can also buy it if they feel like it.
Yeah. By the way,
So-
we just got retweeted by someone with 3K followers.
I love that guy.
Thank you for the retweet, whoever that was.
I don't think
Thank
they're even
you.
watching us, but it's nice.
Yeah, that was very nice of you. Your 3K followers would.
Send them over.
Yep.
But no, like,
So
I don't see
mean-
the point in buying this for us, I guess.
yeah, especially for someone like me, who I'm already running with HD textures through mods.
Right. like-
Also, if you
Like
really
you-
care about Skyrim, you've probably gotten a lot out of it already, and it might
I
not
was
really
gonna
be
say,
worth another buy.
784 hours cough.
like,
Yeah.
I've combined between my PC and PS3 version, I'm probably at 400 hours.
Oh, I'm
I've had my
double-
time.
What? I'm
What?
shocked. I'm double you. I have like double the amount of hours in this game than you.
Yeah.
Oh well, whatever.
Because I play
Yeah.
a lot of shit. But
Yeah, like the only mods I've ever used for Skyrim have literally been HD texture remakes, which means I don't even know if I'd want to buy the new version because I already have my HD textures.
like to me, it could also be like a quick cash grab so they can help fund another project they're working on.
Yeah, but well, you say quick cash grab. I don't think this was quick, especially if they went to a 64-bit engine.
Yeah,
I don't
this is
I
not
don't think this is necessarily a cash grab. I mean,
Maybe.
I've seen you know,
I mean, they did.
knock on wood, I've seen plenty of cash grabs in my day. But like I don't think this is one of them.
But
No,
I
this
mean,
is
if it's going to be some, I don't know if they're just gonna implement it as kind of like a mod, like they usually do with all of their DLC or anything like that, or if it's going to be a full game that you can re-download.
It comes
But-
with the DLC, but yeah, it is a whole new game you have to re-download basically.
Yeah, if that's the case, then I'm fine with them doing all this. But if it's something that they're just modding into the original
But
game,
it better not be at the same time $60. Like $40. $40 I feel is acceptable. But not 60.
I don't know. Have you guys used mods besides texture mods?
No.
yeah, I usually do a lot of content mods because
I mean, I did actually add a content mod for a Dragonborn castle.
Okay,
I have my own
so
castle.
we have
mean,
done other things. That's weird.
I'm not one to use Dragonborn castles and their cheaty. Fill out the inventory chest with 100 of everything.
Rip.
Well, no. It gave me like a little quest like, in order to inherit this castle, you have to kill like 50 dragons. I'm like, oh, well, fuck. I'll be back. I'll be right back.
All right, I guess I'll spend 30 minutes to go kill some dragons.
Okay.
All right, yeah. So that's
Well,
pretty much it.
That's about it for me. Yeah. Anything else for you guys?
Oh, really, just like I said, with the the price point better be like $40. Even though it comes with all the DLC and everything like that, it's still not worth $60.
Yeah, I don't think the price point will convince me to buy it, no matter the price point, but it should
Oh,
be
no.
cheaper. Okay. Now we can flow into our lovely Verge controversial article today. You have the
Do you want me to do this?
Yes, you can start us.
Controversy!
All
Time for
right.
controversy,
So,
gentlemen.
as some of you probably are already aware, there was a horrible mass shooting in Orlando that claimed many lives and wounded many others, and it dropped in the middle of E3, which is still currently going. And without skipping a fucking beat, all of the, horrible, social justice warriors of the internet came slowly bubbling up through the surface and were like, this is video games' fault somehow. Rawr. And, we're talking about people like Movie Bob Chipman and Full Macintosh and Anita Sarkeesian and and Chris Ponte, the person on The Verge who wrote this article, entitled, How Do You Sell Violent Games After a Tragedy? Pretend Like It Didn't Happen. And I mean, I don't know how much of this article I want to read because it's pretty much just a piece of shit. But it basically boils down to, hey, it's the responsibility of people who make violent video games to comment on, every single time someone misuses a gun because it's obviously their fault.
Yes.
I mean, mere hours after the worst shooting in history of the United States, video game publisher Electronic Arts hosted a press conference in downtown Los Angeles for the leadership taking the stage. It may have been any other day. Like, he's just pointing out that they didn't say anything. So what that they didn't say anything? It had just happened.
If it was only a couple hours ago, he's all the way on the other side of the fucking country.
He probably didn't even hear about it.
I was gonna say,
Like, it wasn't
I
even
didn't
in the
even
paper till like the
realize.
day after.
yeah. Oh no, not even the day after. The day after the day after.
Yeah,
Because
like
it
2 days
happened
later.
Saturday night, and papers didn't have it till Monday
Okay,
morning.
here's the bullshit.
Yes.
First-person shooters have been one of gaming's most popular genres since their inception in the 1990s, and EA has promoted many shooters at previous E3 conferences, but witnessing a sales pitch for a, fun with guns violence felt strange, to say the least. It's not just uncomfortable. It's not just the uncomfortable collusion of fantasy and reality, the dream world of violence in the auditorium, and the real world violence outside. It's the uncanny monotony they share. As like, you know what? To be perfectly honest with you, get the fuck out. Like, I mean, Total Biscuit couldn't have put it better. I don't know if any of you had a chance to listen to Total Biscuit's snarkathons that he does for E3.
I didn't have the time.
But they found out that they lost a long-time listener and viewer of their show in the bar. He was killed. It was on the front page of their subreddit. And before anyone wrote any article like this, Total Biscuit pointed out, he's like, I already know that the lunatics and the sycophants and the moral hand-wringers are going to use this as another excuse to whine about violence in video games, and it sickens me because they're going to do it before the bodies are even cold. And without skipping a fucking beat, that is exactly what happened. And if you use the death of people to promote a political agenda before the bodies have even had a chance to cool off, you are pretty much just the worst version of human being in existence. I mean, this article goes on to talk about how E3, regularly celebrates graphic violence. It's like, no, you stupid fuck. This is fake. It's fantasy. If somebody was at the front stage of E3 showing a snuff film or watching an ISIS beheading, maybe, just maybe, I would understand where you were coming from. But these are fake characters made, by talented people as pieces of artwork that just happen to involve guns. No one is really dying. No one thinks it's okay to go around killing people. And you couldn't miss the opportunity to, earn some internet bucks from, your little groups of sycophants and, heel biters who follow you around and go after anybody who they think, might be, committing some moral transgressions against the women's. Which is what this really boils down to. I mean, they're making violence in video game arguments, but the type of people who made these posts are the same people who've been making Anita Sarkeesian-level arguments of, misrepresentation of women, etc. They're just looking for an easy shot at video games, and they took it, and it's terrible.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, a lot of people probably couldn't give less of a shit. What these guys have to say.
And this article talks about people cheering about the Titanfall 2 trailer, and I'm just like, these people, if it's hours after, had no idea this even happened.
It has giant robots! It's a video game about giant robots that fall from the sky, okay?
Well, I get that, Doc, but that's not even the point.
No, I know that's not the point.
This happened yet. There's no way these people who are excited about E3, excited about these video game trailers, here to see these things, are paying attention to anything else when they're sitting in the conference hall.
No, dude, they all had on their phones cameras connected to Pulse the whole time while watching everyone die and giggling about it.
Yeah, I mean,
everyone in E3 was just given a phone with a direct access to the security cameras at Pulse. That's what happened.
This is it's just a bad analogy. I mean, that's all it comes down to, and it's a bad analogy at the expense of dead bodies.
They're also just trying to make themselves feel better. But see, we're talking about it, and these guys aren't they?
Oh, look at how sensitive we are. Aren't we so special? Yeah, fuck you.
Guys.
On top of that, the reason the guy shot people,
how you doing, buddy?
Seems pretty obvious, at least from all of the knowledge that we have at the moment.
I mean, we don't have to go all the way into that because we are.
I know, but
podcast,
my main point of that is.
It obviously had nothing to do with video games.
Nope. That's the real world that we video gamers ignore. It's out the window. We don't really care it's there. Normally. Until you do this. It happens outside the windows. We're in here. Go with our fucking Mountain Dew and Doritos and enjoying video games.
I mean, if there's a story about a guy who sneaks up on somebody and assassinates them with a hidden knife and then escapes police by diving into a hay bale, I'm all ears, okay?
Yeah, seriously.
But aside from that,
I would be both impressed and okay, you got a point.
All right. Congratulations. You found one.
Yeah, one.
Aside from that, this is just it's virtue signaling and moral hand-wringing of the highest order, and these people have no place in the industry, and they have no place in the fandom, and as far as I'm concerned,
not even worried just about video games. They're probably using it for any controversial topic.
They
They're
should
not
be
bringing
named.
just video
They
games
should be
into it.
shamed. And their advertisers should be contacted. Adblock should be used on all of their websites, and all of their articles should be archived to prevent click-throughs. That is my position. If you want to fuck with us like that, then you're gonna get the horns.
Yes.
Alright, I'm done. Rant over.
Close the
Sigh!
To close the event, EA showed a trailer for Battlefield 1, a visually realistic recreation of World War One, resulting in 17 million deaths. That's
There's
how
17 million deaths on screen?
That's
Holy
how-
shit!
Wait, you mean after people watched this video, there were 17 million deaths? Holy shit!
Holy shit, they killed the fucking audience! Just after the trailer was done, they gassed them!
It sounds like they killed downtown LA. Was there a nuclear launch I was unaware of?
Like, it's internally inconsistent. Like, that's all there really is to say about it. At worst, it's getting clicks on the backs of dead people. At best, it's internally inconsistent.
Oh my god, look at his profile picture.
Oh
I will in a
shit!
minute,
Are we
but
doing
have
it?
you looked? I will in a moment.
click
Have you
his
looked at
name.
Oh,
the tags?
Oh god,
Have you
it's
looked
a
at the tags on this article?
no. What are they?
Press conferences, EA, E3, Titanfall, E3 216, Battlefield 1. Those are the tags.
They're
Wow,
not even.
they
they're
didn't
not-
even tag the actual tragedy. What a fucking clickbait grab!
Dude, this guy's a piece of shit.
This guy's okay.
Yeah.
Look, okay. Well, I'm bringing up his picture. Bring his picture up. He is a fucking Goonie Beard White Knight, if I have ever seen one.
Look at him.
Oh my god, what
Look
the
at
fuck?
this. Look at this Goonie Beard faggot.
And he wants to tell people they should feel bad? He's a co-founder of Polygon? Go shoot yourself.
Oh my! Wow. Rip.
Co-founder of Polygon. Oh my god.
We've-
why?
Is
Yeah.
he co-founder of Polygon or is he co-founder of The Verge?
He's co-founder of Polygon.
It says senior editor, The Verge, co-founder, Polygon.
I didn't know. If
Look
those
at
were
the other
separate
writer
accounts.
of the article.
There's another guy there?
Yeah,
That too?
TC Suck or whatever the fuck's his name.
Sulk?
Sotek. That's this.
Sounds like a terrorist to me. Oh yeah, he's a
He's
terrorist. Look at him. Terrorist.
Oh my god. Please
Fuck.
guys, just don't write articles like this ever
Oh, wait, what?
again. Please. Like the
Oh,
internet
and
is
then
here
the
to
best part
destroy
of this, by the way, the best part about this is the Kafka trap that they set up afterwards. Because when they get shit on, rightfully on Twitter and all over their social media feeds, are like, "Oh, look how toxic the gaming community is."
Oh, yeah.
Go
Oh, yeah.
fucking die in a hole.
it.
Like,
yes, we're toxic. Of course we are.
yeah, we're we're toxic, but you can go over there and score political points with dead bodies. Just
I was gonna say, like, if we're toxic, I really hate to understand what word we.
you
have
want
to
to
use
read the
to do it.
comments? I'm gonna go to the
At
comments.
least our dead bodies are fake.
Yeah, our dead bodies aren't real,
I
and they
can't see the
respawn after a
comments.
little while.
Yeah. I
Oh,
can't
yeah,
see
this
Nobody
the-
guy's-
dies in video games.
I
Like,
just want it to be known before we move on to the next article that this guy is getting rightfully shit all over in the comments. The comments are
Yeah,
having
I
none of
He
it.
deserves it.
I can't see the comments.
The Verge hides their comments because they're afraid of criticism. You have to go all the way
Oh,
to
I
the
see.
bottom below
Click
the
read
best of
them.
the Verge and then click read comments. They won't even display them because they know that they just get crapped on repeatedly.
Fuck the Verge.
Precedents exist for delaying video games and their promotion in response to tragedies.
Yes, and it's a
Sure.
bad precedent. It shouldn't be done.
Nope.
You don't need
This
to.
article is just rife of crap.
Like
And
one
again,
comment is like,
it
it's a valid
was-
question. Right below, they're like, no, it's really not. Like it just.
But again,
This shouldn't even
this
be up
was
for debate.
hours. I don't know how many is mere hours. I'm gonna guess like 2 or 3.
Well,
but it was
hold
hours
on. Let me
before.
go look up when EA's press conference was. EA E3 conference. 15 to 16 time. You keep talking while I find it.
All right, yeah. Actually, well, we can come back to the actual
1 p.m. Post 1 p.m. on Sunday. And this
What?
happened at 4 a.m. Sunday.
Yeah, so basically, the news of it on the internet would have broke, and everybody who was headed for the conference would wake up, they would have gotten ready, they wouldn't have checked anything, and they just would have gone to start getting ready for the conference.
Yeah,
So they wouldn't have known about this.
E3, you're not paying attention to anything else.
Yeah, EA definitely didn't hear about this. They were paying
Alright.
attention to getting their conference set up.
We've given this douchebag enough of our time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you can go fuck
we're-
himself and die.
We're done with you. I'm not even gonna tab out of your article like I do the other ones. I'm gonna close it.
We're out. Goodbye.
I'm gonna,
All right.
I'm gonna close
so,
it. I'm closing that tab. It's gone. It's never gracing my computer with its presence again.
You want to move on to Titanfall or Halo Wars?
Yes, let's move on to both Titanfall articles we got to talk about today.
All right, go for it.
Al, we're rolling into Titanfall after an article talking about Titanfall. Convenient. All right, so Titanfall 2 release date and a single-player campaign accidentally revealed. Wow,
mean, it's
Titanfall
that
2
way.
has a single-player campaign. That's interesting.
How long will it last?
Who knows? Not long from the estimated release date. Titanfall 2 presentation during the test of its EA Play live stream, which should go live for real later at 1 p.m. Pacific, and several watchful sources say that the goof revealed Titanfall 2 will release October 28th, 2016, right between Battlefield 1 and Call of Duty Infinite
Once
Warfare.
again, rip Titanfall. Rip.
Rip! Rip! Rip in
We
peace,
didn't need our game to
Titanfall.
sell. No.
Maybe Titanfall 3.
This is just a shame. Like, this is what people don't understand, that like, we want to be really excited about Titanfall, but the fact that its position in the release scheme just completely overshadows any possibility of it doing well. Like, this
It does.
how much have you guys seen of Battlefield 1?
Not a lot, actually.
I watched
Nope.
the entire playthrough that they did at E3 with, like, you know, an all-star team of streamers and celebrities. Snoop Dogg was there
Yeah.
smoking a joint. I mean, it was a grand old time. That game looks like the best Battlefield I've ever seen.
Yeah,
Like,
I saw
it-
some playthroughs of it.
I am gonna buy it, and it is gonna be amazing. So,
Why
like,
does it look amazing though? I didn't see anything about it, so
it's
you
just
have to explain.
like somehow they really managed to capture the feel. And
World
I know
War
I know that I've never been to World War One, obviously, because I'm not a time traveler. But the guns are all really well made, and they have a feel to them of, like, you know, older weaponry. They're not super ridiculously accurate. You know? Like, they somehow managed to balance gameplay mechanics with being mildly realistic about how accurate you would have been at long distance with some of these weapons. And the maps themselves are like built really well. It's you know, like a rolling hillside, like an actual fight you'd have in World War One. The fight in World War One was everywhere. You know, it was through people's farms and barns and small towns, and you know, it wasn't like these neat crafted spaces like urban warfare or anything like that. It was just open fields with sparse buildings, and they kind of really captured like what it would have been like. There's dug trenches that tanks can, you know, roll over, and you'll be safe inside of them. They're obviously, it's got the really good destructible physics that, you know, Battlefield is known for, and they've got another I think, what do they call them in Battlefield 4? Map events, or like single game events, you know, like some big one-off thing happens.
Right.
Oh, like the massive earthquake that used to tear apart one of the maps.
Yeah, like a big
You
thing
did
like that.
with 2 sections. Yeah.
In the version in this version of the game, at some point near, I think it's like 75% of the way into the match, you have the opportunity to capture and then gain a giant dirigible, like a giant freaking blimp, like Hindenburg style, if not longer, that has mounted guns on it. It's basically a blimp AC-130 times 10. Okay, this thing is nuts, and it can come down dynamically anywhere on the map. And
Oh Jesus.
when it lands, it has like the twisted metal husk of its outer frame that can, cause problems for vehicles depending on where it lands, and it causes a huge fiery explosion, and it creates new cover sometimes. Like during one of the rounds, it came down in the middle of a field, and it created a whole new location for sniper cover on to point C. Like, it was really awesome. And it just looks like they kind of managed to wrap the whole thing up into a really well, polished package that I think is going to be pretty enjoyable. So I'm looking forward to it.
So not to piss anyone off, I just went down and read like the first comment on this article. And this guy has no idea what the fuck Titanfall is.
So basically a mech game. Oh god. I don't need to read more. I'm done.
Rip.
So to counteract its terrible release time, all of Titanfall 2's DLC maps and modes will be free.
Good.
Yeah.
That's actually really good. I might
Pretty
actually
much.
get it because of that. But still, I don't see a lot of people getting it. Like, I
Well,
see a lot of people getting it. I don't see a lot of people playing it.
Let's go with this if. Hypothetically, if Titanfall 2 has the same amount of DLC as Titanfall 1, we're looking at 10 maps. Which, by the way, that's a lot of maps. And we're looking at 4 game modes. Because they added Pilot Hunter and they added game modes I didn't even play.
Even though nobody played Pilot Hunter.
I know, like we played Pilot Hunter because it was the new thing that came out, and then we stopped
we
playing.
we could barely get a match in it.
Yeah, well, Pilot Hunter was a weird game type. Like, so all of your player characters are called pilots, and there's NPCs around the field that fight the battle, and it's a 6v6 game type with pilots. The main forces are obviously the pilots because the pilots are player controlled, so they do more killing than the NPCs. Though you can get killed by NPCs. It's happened to me before.
It's very
I hate it when a
humiliating.
grunt kills me.
It's
Yeah.
very humiliating when you get killed by a grunt.
Well, the worst part is you get out of a fight with a pilot, you've just escaped getting killed by another player, and then the grunt around the corner kills you.
Just wrecks your face.
Yeah. Because you've got like 3 health, you come around the corner and there's the grunt, and he's ready. And he's the weakest AI unit in the game.
And he kicks
And
you
he
in the
takes, like,
face.
5 Yeah, and he kicks you in the face and you're dead. And that was it. But so the reason pilots are different than all of the other NPCs is pilots have the ability to call down the Titan, which is a giant mech that has different abilities based on what type of chassis it has. Let's see what there's the Strider, which is the fast one.
That was super
It has
fast.
the-
Then there was the generic one.
Well, let's see. The Strider's boost, like the Strider's special ability was it could infinitely boost across the
Yeah,
battlefield.
boost core.
Yep. The generics one was damage boost.
And then
And what
the
was the
ogre,
tanks?
had a giant boost to base armor.
Oh yeah, it had a huge. It could regenerate its shields tremendously. That was ridiculous.
Was he slower than the rest, I'm guessing?
Yes,
Yes.
he was slower and he had less boost. So boosts are a short range dash, and Strider starts with 4. Atlas, which
3.
is the generic one, has 3. I thought Strider had 4.
All right, I might be wrong. I just know that the ogre only had 1 or 2. It's
The
descending
ogre only had
basically.
2. Yeah, the ogre only had 2. I used the ogre primarily, so, and I think you used the Strider primarily.
Yeah, that's because at the beginning when the game first came out, you could get into your Titan with the flag. So I would just save up a boost core, run and grab the flag, ninja out, jump into my Strider, and boost core all the way back across the map and score the flag.
Yeah, that's one.
Because Striders are broken. They actually had to patch the game to make sure that you couldn't get into Titan with a flag because all people would do was Strider core.
Yeah, and away it goes, and it's just like even if you wanted to, you couldn't catch that.
You couldn't stop it.
It was gone.
Was there ways
So-
to repair it?
Yeah.
No,
there's
there
ways
was
to
no way-
repair it. There was ways.
The Titan?
I thought. Yeah. Didn't you have the?
No, you had recharging armor, which was like I think 30 to 35% of all of your health, right? or was it closer to 50? But then
It was closer
you're
to 50, but
it was Halo 1 rules basically. You had a recharging over armor, but your actual Titan's health would not recharge, because remember, we'd get into really
Yeah.
really complicated fights, and I'd back out and I'd warn you that, hey, I'm nothing but shields here, like, because I
Yeah.
couldn't, there was no way to heal the Titan's base health. So
yeah, the Titan doesn't have anything under that, and there's definitely no repairing that. And there's also Titan boarding, so you could run up, jump on Titans, rip off the main CPU cover, and start
and then just
blowing
shoot
the
right
shit
into
out
it.
of that. Yep.
That
So you
sounds
could
fun.
destroy Titans as a running around character, and you could do that with weapons too. There's special rocket launchers like the Sidewinder and the Spartan laser.
The Splazer.
Yeah, that's
It sounds fun. I wish it was a game that kept a community.
Yeah, well, like I said, we'll find
had
out.
a decent community for a while after.
When we played, yeah, it didn't. It took longer to taper off.
It took longer to taper off than you think, but it did die pretty harshly after a while.
Yep.
Like it had a massive community, then it had like a 10K community, and then it was dead.
And then it was toast.
Roasted, toasted, bent.
I'm just hoping that after all the hype wears down from Call of Duty Infinite War and the Battlefield 1, that people go, oh, the first DLC for Titanfall 2 just came out.
Maybe
Well,
that might
really,
happen.
I don't see any hype really for.
No,
Infinite
don't worry. They're
Warfare
just gonna wait
besides
until
for,
Battlefield and Call of Duty have their DLCs.
Yeah,
Well,
actually,
maybe-
I haven't seen a lot of hype for the Call. By the way, I'll point this out because I actually watched all the E3 streams. Literally every 20th post in the E3 chat was "Rip COD." Like every
Yeah.
game that they mentioned was just people like, "Oh, rip
COD's
Call of
dead.
Duty,
Like, Call of
rest
Duty's
in
dead.
peace."
Well, I
It's-
think so,
it's
but
not
what I
dead.
meant the hype for COD is I meant the remaster of
Yeah.
4.
After people,
Right.
after things die
About
off.
Infinite War 4.
I'll see them after like probably 6 months down the line of that being sold separately finally, and that's
Maybe.
when that'll have hype again.
But my main point is once that wears off and DLC comes out for Titanfall 2 and people go, oh, that was a thing, I'm hoping maybe it'll continue to have a community or bring a new community to it. With the free DLC announcements, it might help. I'm not sure, though.
Right.
All right.
And it's strange for EA to have free DLC.
It's not as strange as you think. Like, total, the DLCs cost me $30. So,
I meant like
all-
this in
like-
general sense for E EA.
well, I know, but my main thing is, like, EA sold a season's pass, right? The season's pass it sold was not the, like, season pass that you guys are used to, where it's like any DLC that comes out in this year is the stuff you get with it. It's a $30 season's pass that any DLC came out with the game you got.
Right.
Yeah.
So when at any point in time, I could go back and get the DLC for Titanfall, and that's all it took. Is I had to go back, download the DLC, and I was good. Now, it went free after like a year, or
That
maybe a
pissed me
year and a
off.
half. All of the DLC went free.
That pissed me off.
Well, the game was dead.
Yeah,
The
it was
game
toast.
dead at this time. It didn't matter. It didn't matter to me because I'd already gotten my investment out of the game. Like, it made me sort of upset, but at the same time, it was already done. Like, the game was dead. Nobody was going to go play it for free. The people that got it for a price had already played it out, and the game was dead. The community has like 1,000 players.
All right,
And
that's
there's
pretty
no
much all I've
single
got
player
on
at
that.
all. Yeah, there's no single player. The campaign is a multiplayer lobby. Where it's a terrible campaign scheme because it's still a face-off. It's still 6 players versus 6 players.
Oh yeah, and no matter who
So-
won, the story was the same. So
Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, the story
So-
was pretty bad.
Do you want me to go ahead and knock out Halo Wars really quick? Because I can probably
Yep,
do that
sure.
in less than like 4 minutes.
Yeah, you said, have you played it?
Yes, I have played it. So Halo Wars 2
Alright.
E3 trailer was revealed, and a February release date of next year was announced. And first I'll ask if any of you guys played Halo Wars.
I played Halo Wars.
Either of you two?
I have not played Halo.
Oh, okay.
Steve's an exception to the normal Halo.
Basically, Halo Wars was kind of like an attempt at a Halo-focused RTS. And what made Halo Wars the original really good wasn't that the game itself was unbelievably, like amazing. It actually had a relatively decent story. The campaign missions were alright, and the game itself was constructed well enough to, get, I think, what did it get, 8s? Pretty much across the board?
I think it got 8s across the board at the time, yeah.
And it was really fresh, because, nobody had done this concept, nobody had stuffed Halo into this genre before. So, Halo fans were kind of excited to try it out. It was alright. It had some balance issues that could have been solved, but what killed it was the studio, which was Ensemble, right? I think
Yep.
it was Ensemble Studios.
I can go look
Was
that up later.
was immediately after the game came out, because Ensemble was quote unquote owned by Microsoft, like they owned the majority controlling stock, or however you want to word it. After that game was made, the company was disbanded. So there was no basically the game dropped, and then there was no support and sustain for the game because the company disbanded. So when players found the broken strategies in Halo Wars, there was no one left to patch them, and the game just slowly died. I have played a couple of games of the beta, and I was not impressed. Now,
more importantly to announce, there is a beta for Halo 2 Wars out on
yes,
console.
on the store right now
right
that you can
now.
go play on Xbox One. But I think maybe my experience is being clouded because of the 3 or 4 games that I did play, I pretty much face rolled. The game type that's available right now is kind of a really weird game type that wasn't in the first Halo Wars. It's called point domination, which is similar to territories, where there's 5 points on the map that diminish the team's points. So each team starts with 5,000 points, and those points slowly tick down based on who has the majority of the territories. They all start neutral. And the biggest problem is that kind of promotes rushing. So I realized in the very first game that I needed to take these points right now. So I took what little force that I started with, and I went and I took the point nearest to us, and then I realized that those points themselves aren't very well fortified. There are some on-map NPCs that are there. I think they're Forerunner NPCs that you have to fight in order to secure the area, and then there's a percentage of time it takes to lock it down. But the force was not substantial, which really surprised me. So what I did is I cranked out a bunch of low-tier discount units, got a small fighting force together, threw 1 Spartan in it, and within the first 5 minutes of the game, I had 3 out of the 5 territories. And obviously, the enemy in all of the games I played was not ready for that strategy, because by the time they had spec'd into higher units that could beat me, it was already too late. So maybe this particular game type just doesn't work well. If I could make a suggestion to improve it, I would make it much more difficult to clear out the on-map NPCs from those positions to prevent rushing.
Sounds
but-
like sir.
Yeah, the interface was slow. The game had some serious performance problems in terms of vertical sync. And I understand that it's a beta and it's a ways off, but it negatively impacted the experience of the game. It was bad enough. You actually have to wait for the game to sit at the menu for 2.5 minutes because it has a loading problem. It loads earlier than it's ready. So if you attempt to press the start button right when you get into the game, it'll crash every time because it hasn't loaded all the correct assets. I had to look up a workaround on the forums. So I'm thoroughly unimpressed. I wish they would have put in some more modes. There's only 2 heroes that you can play with, so the gameplay becomes stale pretty quickly because it's always a bunch of cutters versus a bunch of brutes, chieftains. So I guess
Right, that was my one question.
Time will tell.
So you're all playing.
there's only 2 heroes available. There's the chieftain and cutter, and it looks like there's going to be upwards of 8 to 9 heroes available, which is obviously going to create some, more diversity in terms of the actual game mechanics. And the introductory game, you know how normally when you first pick up an RTS, they'll give you a demo game, to teach you? It wasn't a game. It was a non-interactive instructional video that threw all of the information at you at once. And the only reason that I did so well is because it was similar enough to the previous Halo Wars interface that I knew what I was doing. But I actually could not figure out how to access my hero power because the normal up on the D-pad would set a rally point, and the inverse, which I thought they'd flopped them, down on the D-pad was a unit selection system, so I couldn't even get to my cutter orbital strike. I didn't know where it was in the interface. So, I'd say that if they want people to take Halo Wars 2 seriously, they should make some improvements to their technical demo and try again.
So I guess my questions for you then are, is there's Covenant, there's the Marine Corps and all that.
UNSC.
What type of units are there to play right now in the beta?
It's all units as far as I can tell. It's structured around the 3 powers, the rock, paper, scissors structure. You've got ground vehicles, infantry, and air. There are ground vehicles that are both anti-ground and anti-air. There are infantry that are anti-infantry and anti-vehicle, and there are aircraft that are anti-aircraft and anti-infantry. Does that make sense? Like it's the rock paper scissors system, where each one has a dual strike and a weakness. Right. And you've got the biggest change from the original Halo Wars is rather than having only a global heal that you can place on a timer with resources, there are now actually flying units that will do healing. In the previous Halo Wars, the only way you could do healing without the global heal was if you had engineers, so you had to be the Covenant. Now, to balance that, the Covenant have the engineers, and the humans also have like this flying medical unit that will repair shit. And then there's infantry, so you've got, tanks, you've got anti-air Wolverines, you've got anti-ground things that name escapes me, but imagine a really big accelerated cannon with wheels. And that's pretty much it. Like the unit structure is really similar to the original Halo Wars. I'll put it that way.
I mean, I kind of get that. What I was more aiming at is looking at like StarCraft 2, you have the 3 different races you can play. Can you play the Covenant in the demo?
Yes.
Okay, so you can play the Covenant.
You have the Chieftain, and you have Cutter. So you have 1 human hero and 1 Covenant hero playable in the demo.
Okay, now you only played...
I only played as Cutter.
Okay.
I have yet to play as the Chieftain.
Yeah, I was just wondering if maybe there was the more viable swarm tactic from a different race.
But no, Cutter... No, that's why I played Cutter is the best rusher from the old game. Because he can crank out ODSTs really quick. It's easy for him to upgrade to ODSTs, and his orbital abilities make it easy to use your hero power to create screening, to screen enemy units away from certain zones. So yeah, I picked, of the 2 heroes that were available, I picked the one that was best suited to the game type because that's what you do. So yeah, but that's all I've got to say about that. I think their technical demo was a little bit lackluster, and they could have put some more into it.
I guess the only thing to add is the original was console exclusive, which is weird.
Yes, this one is on
RTS.
PC.
This one will be PC,
but only if you have Windows 10.
Yeah, once again, they're shoving Windows 10 down your throat.
I won't get it.
I don't know if I'll get it. I was kind of picked up the first one for relatively cheap.
Yeah, I'll wait for a price drop.
I played it more for the story, so it's going to depend on how much I like. I've dropped Halo now, so I don't know how much I care about Halo anymore.
Yeah, we pretty much play Destiny.
And they're bringing free Forge tools so I can play multiplayer Halo 5 for free. So that I'm probably just gonna wait and see what happens.
Yeah. So do we have a topic related to anything Daladev wants to talk about? Because he's been pretty quiet today.
Delav wanted to talk about the Skyrim thing. That was
Oh
the
no,
thing that I brought up.
that's the only thing I've been notified about recently in gaming.
Okay.
Really, all that I've been doing is Rust, and I mod the server now, and I play Terra and World of Warcraft again. So
Playing
All right, that's
WoW.
cool.
Yeah, he's
I'm
playing
WoW
WoW.
right now.
God, playing video games on the job about video
know it.
games. Rip. All right, so what do you want to?
I think I want to talk about Dual Universe and skip on the other two games.
All right, that's cool.
For reasons of delays. The Dual Universe might be interesting to talk about with No Man's Sky delays and other things. So I'm gonna bring that up. Dual Universe is a sci-fi MMO. At the PC Gaming Show at E3, Nova Quark's Jean-Christophe Bale showed off the first ever video footage of Dual Universe, an upcoming sci-fi MMO that takes place in persistent shared single shard universe.
So it's an
So-
MMO?
So is this kind of like Space Engineers but bigger?
That's the vibe I was getting from it. Is it's a space engineers, like, you know, Minecraft meets Eve.
It looks like it looks like it's in a pretty low res state from what I see right now. It doesn't look like it's very high poly.
Yeah, it is pretty low res. All except for if you look at the last image, the view from the cockpit. That looks pretty
That looks good.
well worked out right now. Yeah. The reason I wanted to talk about this is Steve and I had this itch that we were hoping to fill with No Man's Sky, which was the kind of put us in a universe and let us do what we want to do, let us build what we want to build idea.
Take the leash off.
And
We basically wanted to make a giant tether between a planet and a moon and see what happens.
yeah,
Rip.
especially if the moon orbited at a different rate than the
Yes.
spinning of the planet.
Yes.
Sounds dangerous.
That was the idea. We were hoping to blow up the planet.
Hold
but-
it hostage.
But from what we've understand from No Man's Sky is there's no sort of creation tool like that. No Man's Sky is to like go explore, do.
Yeah,
fighting,
like we've said
create.
this, it looks like more of a technical demo than anything else. Like it doesn't look like a game.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's why I'm confused why it's $60. I'm like, yeah, it's big. Woo.
Whoa, good job.
Yeah, but even if it doesn't look that great, if it plays well, I'd be down.
Yeah, exactly.
Just
Like,
that every time they come up with one of these type of games, junk.
Oh, you cut out there for me. Could you say that
Oh.
again?
They're pretty hard.
Sorry, if every time we have tried these type of games, it just doesn't work out. Usually they're junk for the most part.
Usually,
Space
I'm
Engineers wasn't optimized enough to run giant ships into each other.
no, definitely wasn't. It was fun, but it definitely wasn't
I was
ready.
gonna say, me and you played Emporium like once.
Yeah, and it was okay, but at the same time, the crafting system was so convoluted, and I didn't
Yeah, it was
understand how to
weird.
get resources. And like, the main problem with games like this is Minecraft exists, and it's so easy to get Minecraft. Like
Well, pretty much
Minecraft
at
is
this
the,
point, if you don't have Minecraft, like, get off the internet.
yeah, like Minecraft is the most simple thing to understand though. Like it's go get wood, now make a wooden tool, now go get stone, now make a wood tool, now make a house, now make a sword, survive the creeper, make more things, now build
To me,
whatever the
it
fuck you
wasn't a
want.
house; it was a trailer.
It was a hole in the ground with a trap door.
The dirt hut, the infamous dirt hut.
Yes. And that type of experience I really enjoy, the like starting from the ground up and building whatever you can manage.
especially in VR.
Yeah, because VR matters. So from the look of Dual Universe and what they're trying to do, it looks like it'll be that type of thing. It'll be the Minecraft meets EVE Online. And it looks a lot more like the EVE Online than you think, where it's kind of they created the universe and it seems like they're just gonna let people go.
Right, like this seems like they literally just made a universe with barely anything in it. Have fun.
That's what happened with Eve, though. Like, I was there at the conception of Eve, and it was like, welcome to the MMO. Here's the things that you have. Here's what you can, like,
I mean, like it sounded
do
like
to
when I
make
watched the
money.
trailer.
Now go.
When I watched the trailer, it sounded like you get to also like build the buildings that you're seeing in these pictures and stuff like that. Make the civilizations.
Right. Which would
Was
be
that like that in
so interesting. Yeah, basically, like, all of the corporations are player made. All of the things that you generally are doing to make money and gain experience and all that are player designed. The game is run by players. The rules of the sector you're in are established by the corporation that rules that sector, and corporations are controlled by players.
Isn't Eve currently like in another like war? Still?
I don't know, but Eve has lots of wars all the time. Corporations fight each other almost endlessly because the more parts of the universe you control, the more money your corporation makes. And nowadays, Eve money equals real money. Because you have a literal direct translation between the in-game currency of Eve and real-world currency.
Which is just awesome and strange.
So people literally play EVE Online to make money, to survive in the real world by playing a game on the computer.
Rip.
I mean, if I turned on my EVE account and sold all of the stuff on my EVE account, and then went and got all of the 36 sock puppets I had and sold those, I'd probably get in the ends of like 10 grand. But that requires me to remember all of their passwords and do all of that. And not to mention somebody to buy it.
Yeah, from this it sounds like just another Eve Online, but it might only have like a single buy-in.
Well, the difference between EVE Online and this, though, is EVE Online doesn't have any planet landing. You're never out of your ship in EVE.
Oh, and this like you'd be out of the ship.
Yeah. EVE Online is you are always part of the ship. Like, the main
Isn't
story
that
of EVE
Strange
Online
Draw?
is... Huh?
Like, I had that complaint when we played Elite Dangerous. I was like, how do I get out of my ship? And you're like, you don't. I'm like, what? And I don't know why, but I put a sour taste in my mouth about the game. Like, I
Well,
still
You
like
want to
playing
explore
it,
other than just in space.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, the explanation for why that is in EVE is that human society has moved to the point that when children are born at the age of 5, their brain is extracted and put into a ship.
but
And your
Oops.
brain now becomes the core that runs the ship.
Lol.
So-
Since brains can't age,
So
we are
you're
murdering
not fighting
children.
corporations. You're fighting bigger ships.
No, you're fighting big children.
Brains. And children.
You're not fighting children.
You're
per
killing
se.
baby ships.
Wait a minute, then
Your characters
if
can
wait,
be
oh,
almost
okay,
any
oh,
age.
stand by. Hold on. Okay, so
Uh-huh.
if you're a brain in a jar in a ship, okay,
Uh-huh. Connected
Then,
to the controls.
then why do you need money for material goods? And what pleasure can you derive from making money?
Yes.
This
Now
seems
that we're getting to that.
internally inconsistent to me.
That point.
Human, because you still experience human emotions. One of those
Yeah, but I
being
mean, like,
greed.
Yeah, but
You
you
don't
can't
need-
interact with anything.
Yeah, like
You
you
interact with the space station by hooking up to it.
I mean, I guess you need.
And there
fuel.
is virtual, like, there is a player character that you create at the player creation screen, and that player character is virtually generated. So there's no cost to change it. You could change it at any time, how it looks and how it is, because it's just something that the ship projects as you, and supposedly that you walks around the space station and interacts with other virtual people
Oh.
on the space station when you link up to it.
So rape is gone in this world.
Yes.
No,
There's no
no.
rape culture.
Oh
I
no,
don't
no,
know.
dude, no.
Unauthorized docking.
The it's the feminist nightmare. It's real virtual rape.
But more importantly, like this literally looks like an EVE Online meets Minecraft, which is here's the universe, here's what you do in the universe.
You
make
go
the
build shit.
universe. Yeah.
So what you're telling me is we're gonna go in this, make a giant ass ship with a laser that can destroy planets and then hold places hostage.
I mean, if we can get that much power, yes.
We're going to do that. We're gonna copy Star Wars. We're gonna eat suns and shoot them at planets.
There was actually a recent glitch in Elite Dangerous, if no one knew, where AI ships were spawning with mini nukes as weapons.
Oh yeah, no. Basically, what happened is, the AI got too smart because they gave the AI the ability to craft. So the AI found the most optimized way to do everything and just became super OP.
Yeah, it started
Wow.
fusing. You remember the rail cannon, the thing that does like half a ship's health?
Yes.
They fused that with a pulse laser.
Oh my god.
So it's now a rapid fire rail cannon.
So rip.
Yeah. So AI ships in space were absolutely devastating ships,
Rip.
shredding them apart
Get rep nerds.
because they let the AI be too smart.
So,
So proud of them.
nukes
But
are
I'm
for
hoping we
kids.
can do something like that. Do that with this universe. Go make a super powerful, crazy gun.
If we get enough followers in shit by the time this is happening, like say a couple hundred, I want an army.
You can make an army.
Well.
I want a non-paid army though.
Chat hype for
Rip.
army.
Wow,
Why is there
are
a
we
Northern Lion in my
episode
chat?
episode 3 and you're already calling for chat hype? Get out of here. Get out.
Chat hype.
Yeah.
I know that we normally go for an hour and 40 minutes, but I've gotten a call for request with assistance with something, and it's about 8 minutes until 1:30. If we could cut it off then.
Wow.
We still have like 2 big topics to talk about. One of them was for you.
It's for me. Do you want me to do my thing, and then I can end the YouTube stream, and you guys can keep going?
Yeah, just leave yourself in the curse call so I don't have to adjust people's faces.
Yeah, no
if you don't
problem.
mind. Okay, yeah, so let's move on. Like, this is also for me, so I can keep it going if you really do have to leave before you finish. Just so you know.
Yeah.
Because I do want to talk about Absolver as well. So.
You
got
go
a
ahead
few
and
more.
launch it. Go for it.
I've
Absolver?
launched it. I've scrolled into Absolver. Absolver is a game that's coming out in some unknown future. I don't remember the release.
I think it's gonna be 17, sometime in 17.
17.
next year.
It's a fighter game made by Devolver Digital and some other people. Well, what? Published by Devolver Digital and made by
Some other people.
Claps, whatever.
Slow clap, I think.
Slow Clap, that's what it was. Made by Slow Clap. It looks absolutely gorgeous. Is a beautiful point to start at. I have a bunch of screen caps rolling on the screen right now.
Yeah, it's got this
From
really
what was the
artsy,
beta.
like stylized but yet kind of low poly design to it that kind of works really well. Whoever did the art direction for this game is a deity. I don't know who they are, but I'd like to see some of their early concepts because I bet they're gonna look just brilliant. I've never really seen a fighting combat style quite like the way that this game plays. I have no idea whether or not it's going to be fun, or at least I haven't played anything like it. And it's kind of designed that there's going to be PvP in it, but there's also PvE with existing characters. There's a storyline that kind of, unfolds over the course of exploring through the world. And as you meet other players inside of the world, you can kind of organically team up with them, or you can face up to them and, bow and request a face-off. And from the demo that I saw, there are spawn pads on the ground. They're kind of like these lit up sigils where if you die, you respawn there. And I don't know if this was because of the fact that it was, a demo environment, but there seemed to be some sort of time penalty for dying to environment but doing face-ups against player versus player for fun as a challenge while you're in the PvE experience and organically meeting them, there seemed to be instant respawn. So, like, you can challenge other players for fun, but you're not being penalized in your PvE experience if you get thrown up against somebody PvP organically in the world, which is kind of a really interesting way to do things. I know that there's probably going to be dedicated face-off modes, maybe like arena battles and stuff like that. But I don't have the ability here from where I'm sitting to pull it up and play the video because on YouTube it probably get flagged. But I would invite anyone to go check out the E3 live demo that was done yesterday. I think it was part of the Sony pre-show, so you might have to dig through a little bit of footage, but it's worth it as far as I'm concerned.
So let me read this about the game here real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
To give everybody a generalization. So, in the ruins of the fallen Adel Empire, you awaken with a mysterious mask on your face and a faint recollection of an esoteric ceremony. Freeing you from hunger, thirst, and even death, the mask is the creation of the guides, the rulers of these lands who have placed you here to determine whether you are worthy of becoming a part of the elite corps of the Absolvers. As you wander these forsaken lands, you encounter other prospects like you. You will learn new combat styles, acquire weapons, gear, and armor, build a team of warriors with whom you will fight side by side in arenas of combat. It has fluid real-time combat, customizable fighting styles, and flow. There's online multiplayer and a narrative in the online. There's PvP and PvE, and those are the highlights of this game.
Yeah, so, I mean, it just sounds like a really interesting concept with a really interesting art design, and I think I'm going to throw money at it, so...
Well, here's the question for you. Is it focused on loot? Is it focused on levels?
I
Is it
don't
focused
know.
on skill?
I don't know yet.
These are all things that will destroy the game if it fails.
It might
If
be
they-
all
they do
three
it wrong.
from what it looks like.
It definitely... It
Because
looks like it
also
has
looks
some
like it's
sort
not
of...
at this.
It looks like it has some sort of skill tree basis to it,
Okay.
as far as I can tell. Like I said, I don't know a whole lot about it. All I've seen so far is the tech demo. And obviously, it doesn't come out for quite some time, so I expect to get further information on this game. But from what I've seen, based only on the combat that I've seen and the art style, I would give it money to play it and find out organically for myself whether or not it's all I think it is. It looks worth my money, is what I'm saying.
And as I said earlier, maybe the E3 footage was a lot better than the Steam trailer. Like the game looked cool, just the combat looked
I mean, it's alright. It's alright if you didn't like the combat. From what I saw at E3, I kind of, I enjoyed it. I hadn't seen a game that operated with that sort of, just run around the world, doing interesting hand-to-hand combat combos, and then just organically jump into a quick PvP battle, and then go. Like, I hadn't seen a game do that before. I don't play a whole lot of games. Like, we've pointed out that I'm the kind of gamer who finds something that I really like and I'll dig my heels into it for an extended period of time. So I don't go for the shotgun theory of playing games. So I might have missed something in a similar vein, but I'm pretty interested in it from what I've seen.
Well, more importantly, these are all just to give you both the prospect on this. This is all 6 months away at the bare minimum.
Yeah,
It's a
so
2017 release, so even if the combat right now doesn't look that good, we should wait until it's much closer to release to probably start judging it on all these things.
Right.
Because right now it's this is our idea for the game. Here's your playable version to get a feel for what the game should feel like when we actually smooth everything out. Is this a good idea?
I'd love a tech demo, even if it's very small.
So my question to you, Deldev, would be, if the combat was smooth and everything kind of goes the way that it looks like it might, would you play this game?
Oh yeah, I'm a fan of games like what was that one, the medieval one?
Chivalry?
Chivalry, where it's focused on being right next to each other, or even in some cases using long range weapons, but having a hand to hand combat based on skill would be amazing. Having that game be focused on equipment and levels, it would kind of bum me out because I have a ton of situations where people will just be like, "Oh yeah, look at all my cool gear. I'm gonna go to the low level area and screw with all these people that are trying to play the game." So,
Like I do in Dark Souls.
Well, we'll
I
have to
think if
see.
I could come up with an idea, I think probably the gear would only help you in like okay, this is how I would structure it. Let's say you've got a PvE experience with organic PvP possibilities strewn all over the place. Let's say that there is gear and skill tree involved, but that's on the PvE side of things. So it prevents people from just suddenly running off into the distance and like quickly tearing through a whole bunch of spaces because they'll get, KO'd by the they'll get
NPCs.
KO'd by the NPCs. And then when it comes in terms of PvP, depending on how the playlists are set up or how the organic PvP is decided, maybe that's more, it doesn't really matter what your gear is. We're talking about timing and anticipation and learning other people's fighting patterns and possibly switching things up in the middle of the fight. So, like, how would that sound to you? Where if
yeah,
there's
that would sound
gear,
much better.
if there's gear, it's more about a gear check in the PvE world than it is about getting, advantages in PvP.
Yeah, it would basically be the Destiny, except with possible skills.
I
I don't
mean,
know how they would do
The
that.
added thing I could change to that is maybe gear can affect your fighting style.
Like,
Which
depending on what your
obviously
gear is,
then-
it gives you access to different fighting styles.
Yeah, which definitely would happen with something like weapons, obviously, because you don't run in and try to punch somebody with a sword. You try to cut somebody with a sword.
Don't judge me, man. I'll do what I want.
But yeah, so maybe gear would provide access to different skills, which is possible, but I don't know. Maybe gear is something else besides stats, which at this point we can't determine. The only way to know would be to play it, and it's not even close to out yet.
Yeah, that's
I'm
pretty
a-
much it for me.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really hoping I get the chance to play it and it holds up closer to my expectations, but I don't have that great of expectations for it because I've played games like this before. I enjoy them for a while and then I usually end up just falling away from them. But having more people to play with might help me stay with it for longer compared to how I normally do. Trades off there. So, Doc, did you want to run away?
I think I can probably stay for about another 6 or 7 minutes before I have to go
Okay,
help
I
this
don't
person
know how
out.
long this next section is gonna last. This is a Steve's personal game talk. He wanted to talk about Fallout 4, so I'm gonna transition us into Fallout 4
Oh,
because Steve wanted to chat on that for a little bit.
a small
And
thing.
that is our last topic for the evening. So
Fucking curse
Basically just Fallout 4's new set for DLC. One of them being a vault creating DLC, like you make your own vault, and that goes along the line with your own experiments to the vault dwellers. I don't know what that entails, but it's interesting to me.
I'm
'Cause I like
wondering
to
if that's
fuck with
a
people.
restricted list of experiments or if you can do something more interesting.
I'm not sure. Like, I want to know, but I there's a lot of things I want to try.
That was a very tactful way of wording that. Well done.
Well, it's the only reason I wonder is there exists in the lore a vault that they gave a tremendous amounts of weapons to, put tons of guys in, and one girl.
Yep.
And
let's see
I
what
want to run that
happens.
fucking experiment and see what happens.
No, see, I want to do the exact opposite experiment. Well, not exact opposite.
A ton of women, a bunch of guns, and one guy.
I want to have I just want to have like one section of the vault be poorly educated white dudes, another section be homosexual white guys who are somewhat moderately educated, and then
a bar in
another
between.
section of straight people, and see which group the straight people want to interact with.
Okay, that's a weird experiment you're attempting to run. So basically, you're attempting to judge how much people care about sex compared to intelligence.
I don't
Yes.
think there's enough game logic running in the background to accurately represent the opinions of multiple people running congruently. Like, okay, what you want to do, Paul? Okay, let me explain to you the only way you can run this experiment. 500 years in the future, Steve is a giant genetically augmented brain in a tube that is hooked up to the most advanced supercomputer in the history of mankind that is basically simulating another version of Earth. And that is the only way that you could adequately represent this experiment. Like, you'd need to literally be creating hundreds of, like, actual living, breathing, or not living, breathing, but, you know,
Well, Steve-
accurate analogs of living, breathing people with opinions. Like,
Yeah, it'd be
Do you
weird.
want me
I'll
to tell
put it
you
this
where I
way,
think this
Fallout
experiment-
4 Fallout 4 is not going to be able to accurately give you a representation of what you're looking for,
I just wanna-
Steve.
Like at the end of the day, I just want to see a bunch of people shoot people. Like that's what I want to see happen.
And 1/3 of them just happens
It'll
to be
one
homosexuals.
gun. No,
All
there'll be
right,
one
Steve.
gun. It'll be one gun. It'll be locked away with a 3-digit combination, and each group of people have a digit.
Oh, so they have to share together to get the one gun.
And then I want to see what they do with it.
I might.
The game definitely won't let you. do
Because
that.
we have the poorly educated. Let's be honest, they love guns.
I love the poorly educated. No, I'm so
I love
sorry.
them.
Poorly educated.
I'm
I might-
glad that-
people.
I might have to cut. I might have to cut this segment of the podcast.
I'm sure they'll hate the homosexual people and like the straight people. The straight people who are decently educated will like both groups, you know, okayly. Probably not so much the uneducated. But then they're gonna want to have to. So the uneducated are gonna want to have the gun to shoot the gay people. But now they have to work with the gay people to get that number.
Oh my
So
god.
they have to convince the straight people to get
Steve,
the
why don't you
numbers
just
from
go
the
for
gay
president and do
people.
this?
Steve, I'm gonna have to cut this segment of the podcast. I'm gonna have to cut this. Sometime,
I want it up.
if I don't cut this sometime like 20 years from now when Steve is up for this major promotion, they are going to find this and they're gonna fire his ass.
I'm totally fine with it. Leave it live.
Okay, what does the Twitch chat have to say about this right now? What is Twitch chat?
Twitch chat is not talking whatsoever.
No, that's because they've pulled out their popcorn. They're like, "Yep, Steve, dig that hole,
But
Steve.
no, I
Dig the
wanna
hole."
I want to see if they could live with themselves after working with the gay people to then shoot them. I want to see if they can do it. Because if they can't, I'll kill them all.
If they can't, I can't.
I'll have
I
a
just-
switch in my room that just
So-
poison gas.
I'm more interested to see what they actually let you do because this isn't
Yes.
gonna happen.
No.
Like what possibilities could they let you do? There's obviously very. Is it gonna be a system where you how much details have come out about this?
Not a lot. But I'd like to have like a vault and then a secret vault right next to it. Similar to like what they have in the game with the Mohat vault. But then like the vault that like thinks they're producing electricity for their own vault is actually producing electricity for the other vault. And the other vault's like
gonna-
fully aware of this happening. Like they are
It's gonna
aware
have
of
to be a system where they do like a menu that you interact with, and then you choose how these things work. And you can walk in and see some things, but the details are all just gonna be text oriented.
Yes.
There's no way
Yeah.
they're gonna make UI for all this. And I mean, if they do, more power to them. But that's just a lot of work.
Yep. It'll be
Yeah, I
fun.
don't know. It'll be interesting to see what Bethesda tries to do with this system. Because there are definitely people like me that are just like, I want to run all of the experiments that happened in all the other vaults. Let me do it, please.
Yes, I'd love to do that as well.
Please, for the love of God, let me do it. I want to watch it
Let me
happen. Like,
inject these
we
people
have
with-
records of what happened, but those records are vague and they don't describe it well. I want to
Let
know
me
what
inject all these
actually
people with
fucking happened.
diseases and then develop a disease in the background.
Oh, dog, we get you're horny. You want to see one guy get hit on by a bunch of girls, but come on, man.
No, like the thing is like that's not what would happen.
I love
like,
all of
apparently
you.
The vault killed itself.
Yeah, the vault killed itself. I think they
like
killed it.
apparently this vault with a bunch of guys, one girl, and the guns destroyed itself.
Imagine
didn't-
that.
Like I'm a little more shocked because my brain goes, why didn't we just work out an easily manageable system?
Oh, I'll say the elephant in the room. Why didn't they all just rape her?
Steve's being stupid. My more management is, why is this like this is gonna sound really bad too now that I think about it. But why isn't it a managed like there's a real easy way to resolve the problem of there being one woman.
Don't say it.
Everybody knows what that is, right?
I think we should probably
And it
just wrap
involves
it.
her not
saying-
having any rights, right?
I'm saying someone has to take one for the team.
No one has to say it out loud. But my main point is it involves her having no rights.
Hey, he said it. He said it right there. Everyone heard it.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Four Mics podcast, where two dudes and two Hitlers up and coming who know a little amount about a lot of stuff attempt to sound mildly entertaining on the internet. Thank you for joining us this evening. I am ending this train wreck. Good night.